I think it's very important that we support the next generation of architects to move through their career. You know, previous generations have had a very successful intervention in the world that we live in, and it's important that publications like Architects Review continue to sponsor innovative and interesting emerging architecture from around the world.
I mean, I didn't know a lot of the architects, so that's quite interesting to start with. It's kind of like an educational cross-section. There were no architects from the UK in the shortlist. That's interesting, possibly slightly worrying, I don't know. But you know, that meant like a few of them were unfamiliar to me. So it was quite interesting to see kind of what was going on more generally. And I think it's interesting as well to look at work where you come with certain sort of expectations of taste and style. And as I said in the talk, in a way, they're the least important things when it comes to talking about them.
We're all supporting each other as a community, whether we're in Kuwait or whether we're in London or whether the way that you're doing it is a global award. We get to support the younger architects and obviously improve the living space in general, and architecture in general.
You see now a lot of young architects from all over the world, they are gathering, independently from the fact if they got the first prize or not. They meet each other, they see what they do, and it's really an important platform, and in the same time an important way to get in touch, to get connections, and to go on in increasing the quality of our profession.
The winning project, I thought, was the right winner. It was a very sensitive intervention in a very difficult project, taking an artist's residence and studio and reimagining that.
Well, this is an extension and a renovation for La Tallera Siqueiros, which used to be the house and workshop for David Alfaro Siqueiros. It was donated to the state in '74 when he passed away. And slowly it became a place that was a little bit misused. So in 2010 there was a competition in Mexico, which we got, and the idea was to open the space to the public. So what we basically did was to rotate two murals to create like relationship with the plaza and with the interior courtyard of the museum. One
of the things we thought was probably most compelling about it was that partly it reused actual murals from his work in the creation of the new building. But more than that, had a kind of really subtle sort of ability to work with the existing kind of place. So it's his house, and made this art centre there. And it was a project that took some time to understand. And in a sense, the time then revealed kind of, you know, levels of richness to it.
I think it's a very complex project, and it's very well resolved. They've handled a lot of complex issues. I think it's a great choice, and I congratulate them.
The winning project was really conquering us. She's a lady architect who was very able to explain very well her project, and also her project is in a difficult part of Ciudad de Mexico in Mexico. And so we thought it was really a brave gesture done with elegance and with great capacity.
So I think it's an opportunity to take the office to a different level, to maybe start selecting a different kind of projects, a different scope of projects, and continue to do public buildings. Sometimes it's a little bit tough to do public competitions for a small office like mine, but I think with this push we will be able to start doing more public interventions in the future. So it's a great honor.
The highly commended scheme I really loved because I thought it was a really beautiful idea, which is about kind of landscape, and it kind of came from looking at kind of Versailles maze. And I'm very interested in sort of picturesque landscape and designed landscape. So it took a really interesting idea, and then that made it into a really series of elegant pavilions. It was really nice, had a kind of really lovely kind of casual way that it was constructed in a good sense. And it was very beautiful. In a way it had the more compelling visual image, but it had a sort of maybe a less difficult situation to deal with. And also it's impermanent, so there was a sense that we saw a few pavilions and pop-ups in a way. So the winning one was something which actually had to kind of stay there and had a permanence.
It was a commission to build a kind of a pavilion within a park, and rather than focusing on the creation of an object, you know, of an isolated building, we tried to build a yeah, this installation that was something in between landscape architecture, where we were after creating kind of a different experience for the people who were visiting the park.
In this project, you can really see that when people have talent, with very little, they can make a lot.
It's nice because it's not a project to be seen, it's more a project to be experienced. So it's necessary that you are inside and experience the atmospheres that you can feel and forget the city.
Working on small interventions, however small in size they could be, can really have a great impact and improve a certain small part of the city.
It's about very different cultural and political and social situations. So I think seeing architects working in those situations and trying to do important work in those situations is really inspiring and interesting, because sometimes those situations involve the architect doing lots of things that aren't what architects normally do.
What really makes the difference is how we are, our habits of consumption. This is what is changing actually the city. It's not just about the architecture, it's also about how we deal with different types of economics. So I think it's a shared responsibility. I don't think the architects are going to solve it solely, but I think we need to contribute generating more diversity in the public space.
Ultimately, architecture is about placemaking, and what we've seen today in the Emerging Architectural Awards, the finalists that we've spoken to today, gives me hope that those issues will be addressed as we move forwards.